So today I'm giving you my picks for the best value MacBooks you can currently buy used. We'll go from the very lowest budget option right up to the most expensive. Number 1, the 2015 15-inch MacBook Pro. Used on eBay, these start at around £130 or $175, and you're getting a lot of MacBook for your money. These might be going on 11 years old, but their design doesn't look out of place among modern-day laptops. There's a generous 15-inch display here running a resolution of 2880 by 1800. The colours are truly excellent, and I doubt you're going to find any laptop from the 2010s with a better display. There's a great set of stereo speakers on board too, which are surprisingly high quality considering the thin chassis this laptop is built from. Although this MacBook was a real beast of its time, it's become a little long in the tooth with age. This thing is powered by a 4th generation quad-core Intel i7 CPU. It's certainly enough to run macOS Monterey, the latest compatible version, and 2024's macOS Sequoia can be patched onto this thing pretty easily too without lagging behind too much. The processor isn't going to be great for higher intensity stuff though. Video editing or playing most modern games is going to be a test of one's patience, with performance lagging far behind the capabilities of Apple Silicon processors. Let's not rule the 2015 MacBook Pro out entirely though. On a budget, this will do fine as a pretty decent photo editing or audio production machine, and it's absolutely fine for web browsing and watching videos as you would on any other laptop. It's surprising how far you can push these decade-old parts, so realistically the 2015 15-inch MacBook Pro is a great introduction to what a Mac can do. The best of the Intel era at a really compelling price. Number 2, the M1 MacBook Air. Pound for pound, you won't find a single laptop with performance like this any cheaper elsewhere. These are available right around the £300 mark, or $400. 2020's M1 MacBook Air is like the little brother of the M1 MacBook Pro, except it's pretty much exactly the same. Excellent 13-inch screen running at just over 1440p, extremely efficient 8-core processor, which I still actually use for editing videos on this channel, best-in-class battery lasting up to 18 hours, and much, much more. It's been over 5 years since release, and the M1 MacBook Air feels almost as fast as the day it came out. It's still supported by the latest version of macOS as well, which means app support isn't going to be an issue for at least the next 3 to 4 years at very minimum. If you've not heard by now, most of the hype surrounding the M1 Macs comes from the fact that they were the first computers powered by Apple's own processors. ARM-based mobile chips like you'd find in a smartphone, except they were considerably more efficient and in most cases powerful than x86 machines designed by other companies. Intel's days of running the show were over, and since the M-line performed so well from the start, Apple haven't released an Intel Mac for going on half a decade now. The M1 MacBook Air is going to be a really fondly remembered piece of history once its day is over. But for now, grab them while they're hot. If you're a student starting college or university, an M1 Air will have you power through the next 3 or 4 years with ease for well under £500 or dollars. If you're working from home on photo or video editing projects, I can also strongly recommend this Mac from personal experience. I can only think of a few real downsides of this machine. The screen is a bit small for me at 13.3 inches, and the port selection is pretty limited, so you might need to put $15 aside for a USB hub. The storage also starts at just 256 gigs, so it might be worth going for a 500GB or above model for the extra 50 to 100 small. You'd be surprised how little having just 8GB of RAM matters at the end of the day though. I've owned and used 8 and 16GB M1 MacBooks, and it's been difficult to tell the difference between the two unless I'm editing a 10-minute or longer video, really. Overall, this is the every person's MacBook. Very capable performance at a price that raises eyebrows. Still the value king. M1 MacBooks are going on 6 years old though. They're by no means weak, but if you want something with a little more bite, I've got an interesting recommendation. The 13-inch M2 MacBook Pro. These were the last Macs Apple ever built into the classic touch bar design, and honestly, they're pretty underrated machines. It's like a sleeper build. You get the M2 chip, which is a jump ahead of the M1 Air already, but there are also up to 24GB of RAM on board. This is low-power DDR5 memory. Where the M1 Air is limited to LPDDR4 speeds of 4266 MT a second, this machine is able to utilize 6400 MT a second speeds. There's also a 10-core GPU on board, which beats the M1 Air's 7 or 8 cores by a decent margin. If you find a good deal on eBay, 13-inch M2 MacBook Pros can go for around £450 or $600. Not a bad deal if you ask me. Good RAM options, a pretty up-to-date processor, a frankly unique form factor thanks to the touch bar which is getting rarer by the day, and battery life is better than most MacBook Airs thanks to the thicker design. I actually got this M2 Pro for £296 on eBay because it has a cracked bezel at the bottom here and some damage to the lid. It's possible to replace the entire strip at the bottom where it says MacBook Pro very cheaply since it comes off separately to the screen, and although annoying, the other damage is purely cosmetic. It's worth looking out for slightly cheaper Macs like this one that have had a tough life up until now, since most of them are functionally fine, just like this one. Okay, but let's say a 13-inch screen isn't quite big enough, and maybe you do want a latest generation processor to get a really big job done. If that's the case, your best budget option is probably this, the 15-inch M4 MacBook Air. It's a big boy MacBook at not such a big boy price. As of writing this video, M4 MacBook Airs are the latest and greatest sold by Apple, and buying from them direct means paying $1,200 at minimum. But buying used will net you a pretty decent saving. I got this one for just £740 UK on eBay, almost $500 under the retail price. And for what it's worth, this is a seriously powerful computer. M4 was a big jump ahead of the previous Apple Silicon chips, mainly in raw CPU power. I'll go into this properly in an upcoming video, but M4 beats M1 by some margin. It's almost twice as fast in multi-core CPU benchmarks. In the real world, this translates to much better render times in Final Cut, for example, and thanks to its excellent efficiency, it's not a laptop that's going to overheat easily or blast through charge. Believe it or not, the 15-inch Air has a fanless, passively cooled design, but somehow Apple have made it work just right. I've never felt this get hot on my lap at all. The design of the 15-inch MacBook Air is really top tier. There's a great screen running at 2880 by 1864, able to produce up to 500 nits of brightness. It is only 60Hz, but for most people that's not a huge issue. What always surprises me in these tiny laptops is just how good the speakers are. For my money, these are good enough to edit video and be able to distinguish different layers of my audio with. It's the same speaker magic we've seen time after time in the MacBook Pro line. Yes, the MacBook Pros are overall better, and the Pro and Max processors are a jump ahead again in performance, but you can't find those for under 1.5K at the moment wherever you look. The M4 MacBook Air is so choice. I highly recommend picking one up if you have the means. And hey, at the end of the day, it's a lighter machine anyway. Alright, so those 4 laptops are probably the ones to pick in my opinion if you're looking to buy one used in 2026. Don't get me wrong, this is opinion based, and if you can get a great price on any modern MacBook, you've got to jump on the opportunity. But I hope this was an informative or interesting watch.